There are 5 factors that determine your retirement success, your readiness to retire, and your ability to do so with confidence. What are those 5 factors? How do they work together? I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. All right, so retirement is most people's biggest financial goal. It's probably your biggest financial goal. It's also the singular biggest financial decision you're going to make in your life. I mean, you think about the big ones: who you're going to marry, what job to take, buying a house, refinancing the house, that sort of stuff. You know, maybe where you went to college, something like that, how to draw your pension. I mean, there's big ones. But when to step away from that paycheck, likely, I mean, bar none, is going to be the biggest financial decision that you make in your life. And so how do you know you're ready? Or how do you know right now what you should be doing so that you're ready when that day comes? A free online calculator? No way. You're not going to trust the biggest financial decision of your entire life to an online calculator. And I'm going to explain the inputs in those things, the assumptions that they make. It's just inaccurate. It's just not helpful. Okay, what about, and we're hearing this more and more, a free retirement analysis or from a so-called financial planner that's really just trying to sell you investments? Yeah, no, it's going to be worth what you pay for it, which is nothing, okay? Because again, they're not going to do a thorough analysis. They're going to make lots of assumptions. They're not going to be able to then coach you through the trade-offs, okay? The truth is, there are 5 factors, 5 decisions, if you will, 5 variables that are all connected. They're interdependent on each other that you've got to evaluate as you're trying to figure out, well, are you on track to retire? What do you need to do to get on track to retire? And when you get there, be able to transition away from the paycheck and into retirement with confidence. So what are those 5 factors? Guys, this is not rocket science. This is not, this isn't going to blow you away because it is so complex. Hopefully it blows you away because it's so simple, but it's still hard to pull off. And again, online calculators, they're not going to go through this level of detail so that you're getting a full comprehensive retirement analysis. Same with the free calculators from some so-called financial planners. They're not going to go through this analysis. You need a 5-factor retirement plan. What is it? First factor, okay, is your age, okay? That's the first decision or factor that you have to make for retirement. Now, age is when are you going to retire, okay? And same for your spouse as well if you're married. But then it's also life expectancy. Basically, how long will your retirement be, okay? So that's the first variable. Age. What age do you want to retire, or are you planning to retire? Sometimes you've got to look and say, well, ideally, I'd love to be done at this point. Realistically, I'm probably going to be able to be done by this point, and I better be able to be done by this point, okay? But age is the first factor. Second, and if there was one of the 5 variables, 5 factors that's most important, they're all really important. Josh Gregory, one of the all-star advisors here at KFG, would tell you, no, they're all equally important. I would tell you the second one would be the most important, okay? And that is spending. Why? I've seen people successfully retire with very little money saved up because of how much they spend. And I've seen people not successfully retire when they've got a lot of money saved up simply because of how much they spend and how they manage their spending. So second factor is spending. Now, typically when you're working, you're looking at your income from a top-down standpoint. What's my salary? Okay, and then out of that comes taxes, and out of that comes health insurance, and out of that comes FICA, and out of that comes retirement contributions, and out of that comes, something else, and then I live on what's left. In retirement, for spending, this factor, you do the exact opposite. What do you need in the bank account to live the lifestyle that you want? Like, what's that net income that you need, that you're shooting for, so that you can maintain your same standard of living or the standard of living that you'd like in retirement? And then you need to add on from there. Okay, well then what will health insurance look like? Then what kind of vacations will you take? Then what about insurances like long-term care, those sorts of things? So it's what's your lifestyle, and then you inflate that at a certain number. And then what are some of the additions, okay? The other expenses, the other lifestyle costs or spending that you'll have in retirement. And then I sort of glossed over it up until now. It's sort of been, yeah, okay, I know inflation's there. But now it's important. We're actually feeling inflation. We're feeling prices go up. And this is one where I see a lot of these online calculators or free financial advisors get this wrong, is they're just assuming 1% or 2% inflation. No, you've got to look and say, well, what are projected inflation over, like, how should you inflate these spending dollars over your lifetime? And then is there a different inflation number you should apply towards health costs and some of these other things, right? So second factor, second variable, second decision is how much you're going to spend. It's your retirement spending. The third factor goes hand in hand, okay? The third one is income. What's your retirement income? What are your income sources in retirement? For most of us, that means Social Security. So in this 5-factor retirement plan, you've got to optimize what's the best way for you to draw Social Security. If you're married or you've been married, a widow or something like that, you've got choices. You've got to figure out what is the best choice. Will you have part-time income in retirement? Maybe this is connected to age, saying, well, ideally I'd love to be done at this time and I'll work part-time. I'll be semi-retired for the first 3 years, something like that. So within that third factor, retirement income, you've got to look and say, well, will I have part-time income? Will I have rental income? Will I have a side hobby or a side hustle or a business, something like that for income? You've got to look at all of those sources and then see, will those levels stay the same or will they inflate over time as well? Again, a big assumption you've got to make is, will Social Security increase over time? Will they continue to apply a cost of living adjustment? Or, like we saw this past year, will they gobble up a lot of that cost of living adjustment by increasing Medicare premiums? So big assumptions you've got to make in there, that third factor, retirement income. Most people, when they think of retirement, they think of this fourth factor, and that is assets. How much you have saved up, your investments, okay? But it's looking at how much do you have saved up already, okay? And then how much are you contributing on an ongoing basis, or what do you expect to contribute each year from now until you retire? You've got to make that decision, all right? Well, right now we've got, the mortgage and we've got kids in school, something like that. But when the mortgage is paid off, I expect to be able to increase my retirement savings. Or when the kids are out of college, I expect to be able to increase my retirement savings, something like that. So this fourth factor is the one that people focus on. There's even commercials about what's your number, how much do you have, how much do you need? It's just one of the 5 factors. How much do you currently have set aside for retirement, saved up for retirement, and how much are you saving on an ongoing basis? Will there be a match? Will you increase? Will you decrease? That sort of thing. And do you need to add more? And then the 5th factor is investment risk. How much investment risk are you comfortable taking in order to, in retirement? Okay, so how much investment risk are you willing to take between now to retirement, and how much do you want to take within retirement? Now, I just did a video recently about the largest pension in the U.S. and how they looked at their overall investment portfolio and future returns. This is CalPERS, California Public Employee Retirement System, and they looked and said, we're not going to be able to meet our investment target, our return target. So instead of adjusting, having some other adjustment, they said, we're going to take more risk. We're going to take more risk with the dollars. And so the same choice applies to you. Most people don't want to take more risk. Most people don't want to be worrying about money, worrying about the stock market in retirement. Quick example, I've got an individual that I've worked with for 20 years, very comfortable with the investments and up and down, and always was comfortable taking risk while he was working, and that worked for him. Just ride through the ups and downs. When he retired, we saw, the bull market continue for another few years, and then we saw 2018, fall of 2018, we saw a 20% drop in just a couple of months, and he panicked. He panicked because this is the first time he was sort of out on the hang glider and felt some turbulence. Like there's no safety net of, well, I'll just be able to contribute more or whatever. You're living on these dollars, and when you see a big change in the investment return because of some risk, it just feels different in retirement. So most people look at saying, well, by the time I get to retirement, I want to reduce risk, and that's a decision that you need to make. That's the fifth factor. Now, the big key to all of this is you've got to make those decisions in isolation, but they're all interdependent. Okay, let's go with risk. Okay, if you decide, I don't want to worry about the market at all. By the time I get to retirement, I don't want to take any risk. Well, geez. In order to take no risk, that means your investment return expectations will be very low as well. Therefore, that might mean you need to save up more. Okay, that fourth factor. That might mean you need to spend less in retirement, that second factor. That might mean you need to work longer, i.e. have a shorter retirement. See, there's trade-offs. Versus if you say, well, you know, I've got to be done. My job, it's so stressful, things have gotten even worse with the pandemic, all that stuff. I've got to be done by 62. Well, being done by 62, if you're on track, fantastic. But if not, you might need to increase how much you're saving, reduce how much you're spending, like CalPERS, increase the amount of risk that you're taking, find a different way to optimize income or get more income in retirement. There are trade-offs, okay? So the point is, this 5-factor retirement plan that I stress, that we stress, that is vital to determining are you on track for retirement and when you're ready to transition to retirement successfully, it's looking at each of those 5 factors, making decisions, and then seeing, well, does this work? And if it doesn't work, if there's not a high degree of confidence using a Monte Carlo analysis, looking at varying returns, all that sort of stuff, if the assumptions or the choices you make in those 5 factors, if they don't yield a high confidence, then you look and explore those trade-offs. What trade-offs realistically make sense for you? Working an extra year or two, saving a little bit more, spending a little bit less in retirement, taking more risk, taking less risk. What are those? And your certified financial planner will help guide you through that process and coach you through those trade-offs. And then once you do that, and this is my other gripe with those free online calculators or those free financial advisors, those are one and done. Retirement planning and financial planning is not one and done. Life is always moving. There are always adjustments that you need to make in your finances. And for this biggest goal that you'll face financially, the biggest financial decision of your life, you've got to tune into this retirement plan at least once a year. And as you're getting close to retirement, multiple times, probably a couple times a year, just to make sure your assumptions, those 5 factors, are spot on and they're accurate. Okay, if they're not accurate, if you're making false assumptions, then the output is going to be garbage. It's going to be worthless. It will not help you, okay? But then, so you've got to make sure your assumptions are accurate, and then you've got to look to see, are there any changes? If the stock market dropped quickly, what does that mean? How does that influence your retirement plan? If the stock market surged, if you were in between jobs and you couldn't save as much as you wanted to, if there was a change in Medicare or medical expenses, something like that, you've got to update your retirement plan to see, well, what are the changes that have taken place? And am I still on track? And if not, this entire factor, this 5-factor retirement plan, this entire system will help guide you to, well, here's what it would look like if you reduced your income, or excuse me, if you reduced your spending. Here's what it would look like if you worked an extra 2 years. Here's what it would look like if you started saving 15% to the 401k instead of 12. That's the work that your CFP will help you with, okay? So I can't stress this enough, this importance. You need a 5-factor retirement plan. We offer that here at KFG, our team of CFP. So if you don't have that and need some help, feel free, give us a call. You can find us online at Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com, or like I said, give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.